Hi, I'm Timothy. I'm one of the many knowledge experts that you'll find at Micro Center stores. Here, let me show you something very useful that you can do with your Windows computer. What do you do when your cat eats your mouse? You revert back to using only a keyboard until a replacement rodent can be found. Today, we'll be talking about commonly used Windows keyboard shortcuts such as selection, copy and paste, cutting and pasting, undo, the concept of tabbing through things, and even some of the lesser documented Windows button shortcuts. After we talk about this, we'll briefly go into how to discover new shortcuts. First, let's open up Microsoft Word. Here, I have a pre-made document to which we could try out some hands-on things, such as selection. So first, using the Shift key and the left and right arrow buttons on the keyboard, we can select individual characters. Now, if we want to select complete words, we're going to continue holding down the Shift key, but we're also going to add and hold down the Control key, and then we'll be using the left and right arrows. So as you can see, I'm selecting and deselecting just words. Now, what about the up and down arrow keys? Well, if we hold Shift and up or down arrow keys, we will select different lines. Now, if we were to do that with the Control with Shift and then up and down arrow keys, then it will be based off of paragraph breaks. Now that we know how to select stuff, let's talk about copying, cutting, as well as pasting. Copying, or Control-C, will put whatever that is selected, that we have selected, onto the Windows clipboard. So just merely Control-C, it's now on the clipboard. Think of the Windows clipboard as a temporary holding zone for stuff that can be copied or cut. Even after an item is on the clipboard, we can proceed actually to move the cursor to where we want the text to be inserted, and we will paste using Control-V. The difference between copying and pasting versus cutting and pasting is that when you're cutting, it will actually remove the text that is selected, whereas copying will not. In all cases, after the text reaches the clipboard, you'll be able to paste an unlimited number of times. So, by default, the clipboard can only hold one group of things. If you copy or cut another selection, it will replace whatever's currently on the clipboard. Now that we've talked about copying and pasting as well as cutting and pasting, let's talk about undo. This is what we'll do when we run into problems or changes that we didn't want done. By pressing Control-Z, and by the number of times you press Control-Z, it will actually undo different things that we've typed. So as you can see, just a couple of Control-Z's, at first it's going by different word changes. Or if I have done selection changes, I can undo that by just pressing Control-Z. Depending on the program and its settings, there's only a finite number of times that you can go back. Now that we have edited our document, we need to save our work. What's the fastest way to do this? We'll just simply use Control-S, which is our save shortcut. If the document has been previously saved, such as in this case, it will just save. If not, it'll pull up the Save As dialog box, which will prompt for us to give the file a new name. You may have noticed that there are many other options that are in a single program, and to get from place to place, you'll be using the Tab key. Tab, combined with arrow keys, can usually navigate through most places in a program. So with AltTab, we go to the ability to switch between programs in Windows, and so let's select just one of the Windows Explorer windows. From here, using the arrow keys, I can select between which folder or file I want. Using the Tab key, I can also jump between items in this window, or Shift Tab to reverse jump. So in such manner, I am actually able to go through all the various locations in this window pane. The commands for copy, cut, paste, and undo, as well as selection, is not just limited to text in a word processor. These commands are also valid for file manipulation when you want to copy, move, or undo an action done to a file. We've already gone through a bunch, but now let's briefly talk about some of the lesser known Windows button shortcuts. For these shortcuts, we'll actually be holding down the Windows button and pressing another key on the keyboard to activate the shortcuts. The first one is Windows button E, which will allow you to open your computer screen where you can see all your hard drives, and you'll be able to navigate this to access files. Next, you have Windows button R, which lets you run stuff quickly, including opening up web pages. After that, we have Windows button F, which lets me find things on my computer. And then we have Windows button U, which gets us to the Ease of Access Center, which makes the computer easier for those who are physically challenged. This one only works for Vista or Windows 7. Now, we have one of my favorites, Windows button D. It minimizes everything, thereby showing your desktop. It's perfect for hiding that game of solitaire you're playing when the boss comes in. Pressing it again will maximize all the windows that were previously minimized. So let's go back to the Ease of Access Center, as turning it on makes it kind of just want to keep on talking to us about everything. One other very important shortcut that's not a Windows button shortcut though is Alt F4. This allows us to close windows that we have active. The last group of Windows button shortcuts that we'll talk about deals only with Windows 7 and its snap feature. By using Windows button left, we make the window exactly half the size of the screen on the left side. By tapping it to the right, we can also put it to the right. Up is to maximize, and finally Windows button down is to restore it or to minimize it. So with that, those are the most commonly used Windows button shortcuts. Lastly, let's look at how to find new shortcuts. When we see menus, by pressing the Alt button, we'll notice that we bring up a menu. These menus have words with little underlines underneath certain characters. Those lines indicate what Alt combination to use to directly access them. So for example, Alt F is for File, Alt H is for Help. And as we can see, in some cases, such as the File menu, Control N opens up a new document, and we can see all the other shortcuts next to the menu item. There are different shortcuts for different programs, so another great idea would be to consult the manual. With that, our time is near an end. We talked today about commonly used Windows keyboard shortcuts such as selection, copy and paste, cutting and pasting, undo, the concept of tabbing through things, and even some of the lesser documented Windows button shortcuts. It'll take some practice, but knowing these shortcuts will make you more efficient in your daily computing routine. Until next time, this is Timothy, signing off of this Micro Center presentation.